bottles. And you can see that he started by plastic models, which he could find in a box. This is a whaler. This museum is set up by a curator who is an artist. If this museum were set up by a curator that was an educator, it would be set up entirely different, because we have an explanation of whaling somewhere else. We put all the whaling stuff together. But anyhow, I can talk a little bit about it. I can say, you know, that the whales were too big to bring on board, and they just brought the whale alongside, and they used those long bladed knives. And of course, we have them upstairs. But it would be much nicer if everything put together. Then the big pots where they were heated, and then the fact that the whales were coming extinct because they wanted whale oil to make light. Coal oil smells. Whale oil doesn't. But what saved the whales actually was about 1856 when Drake discovers oil in Pennsylvania, and they invent kerosene. And that saved the whales. It's interesting that they were really after the whale oil rather than the meat.
Closed, is that what you're saying?
It's all closed.
Why was it shaped like this?
Probably the way it was molded. Some reason for it. Maybe that's something that they needed to know to hang it up or something like that. It did in the foundry.
Interesting.
But here's something. Napoleon War. His soldiers with nothing to do, they made a game, a tank.
Did it later become bocce ball?
Bocce ball, lawn bowling.
Yeah, I remember playing bocce ball at your house.
Anyhow, this is a flagship. So what we have now, you go over here and see, what we have is Napoleon wants to attack England. He gets all the ships from Spain, plus his French ships, to attack England. The only thing that's preventing him from doing that is Captain Nelson, or Admiral Nelson. Now he's an admiral, so he's a pretty smart fellow. Because the first time he went out, he got his eye shot out. Uniform, figures that must be an important fellow, and he kills Nelson. And this is the painting shows the death of Nelson.
So out of the rigging.
You remember hearing that story?
No, I don't.
So anyhow, they win the battle. They lost their admiral. And ordinary sailor, if you die, they dump you in the ocean. But Nelson, they want to bring him back. Fortunately, in those days, they had barrels of brandy. So they preserved his body in a barrel of brandy and brought him back to London. And in London, there was a column. And on the column are 4 cannons aiming, the points of the compass, and that's called Trafalgar Square. And that column is Nelson's column, and there's, up on top, is a statue of Nelson with a little pigeon on his head.
And the pigeon is alive, because there are pigeons everywhere.
Now this is a painting that is questionable, because you look at that, if you know anything about painting, you would say, I don't know, he painted 2 or 3 of these every day? I'd question that. Now, I wouldn't question the $5 maybe, if it's back in,
long ago.
back in 1900. Anyhow, artists, they had photography in those days, didn't they? 1900. They say that these artists would go around and paint pictures of their ship on big safes. They had great big, massive safes, and the old safes all had pictures of ships, because they were the office. And like today, they work in an office. Yeah, I want a picture of the ship. I don't remember everywhere, but wherever the war was Saipan and Taiwan and the Marshall Islands, and of course Hawaii. We stopped in Hawaii. Mostly just those little islands like that.
And then you would unload the food.
New Guinea, I know, was one of them. But that was all wartime, and you're not allowed to have a camera.
Oh.
So I couldn't take any pictures. Certain people, like my brother Leonard, he was a photographer. you been to Stockholm?
No, I've been close to Stockholm.
Okay, this
The
is
South Factory is.
This is a ship, you can see it's about 1628 or something like that. And the captain, the king of Sweden wants the most beautiful ship in the world, so he has it highly decorated. And he has religious sculpturing around the side. Beautiful ship. Now it comes time for launching. He tells the people, I want everything showy. All the flags up. Open all the gun ports. Because underneath each gun port is a decoration. So they open up the gun ports. They launch the ship, a gust of wind comes, tips it over, it sinks. Ooh. Now, they want those cannons. Now, here's a picture of the sinking. They want those cannons. Is there a way of getting those cannons in about 100 feet of water? Well, they knew something about that. They knew about a diving bell. You put a guy in there, you know, if you take a glass and push it in water, it'll still be dry. So maybe he gets the end of the rope. There's about 100 cannons, and he brings them up, and it's forgotten. Forgotten for 333 years, to about 1956, when a guy fishing brings up something that looks like a piece of wood. He says, I wonder if that's the vase.